Alright, I just figured I might as well just get this one out of the way because, oh boy, we're only 4 episodes into the season and already we hit our first bad episode, but I just figured I might as well just power through it. Let's just get into it. This is Fake It Till You Make It. So this episode basically starts out with Fluttershy at her animal sanctuary with her basically having animals for basically lunch, I'm assuming.
Don't worry, Angel. I won't forget you.
And it's nice to know that Angel is still being the self-centered brat that he is, so...
Still a brick.
Yeah. So it's nice to know that Angel hasn't really changed. So it seems that everything's going well until...
Fluttershy! Oh, goodness, Rarity. What's the matter? A better question would be, what isn't the matter? Oh, dear.
So basically the plot of the episode is that Rarity is rushing to ask Fluttershy to help watch over Rarity for you, as we do get a funny montage of her actually trying to ask everybody else, every pony else, but through multiple various different reasons, she basically got no until Maud actually tells her that Fluttershy is actually available. And after the opening, Fluttershy and Rarity go to Manhattan to cover Rarity for You, which we have seen is really changed a lot since, So, as Rarity basically discusses the different styles of basically how to run the store, we see that Fluttershy is just not the type of pony for the job for this, as is essentially important when it comes across this pony.
I need something classic but modern, something with drama but also understated.
Just to keep in mind, I am not a fashion person, so, I am not an expert on this. As Fluttershy does not really know how to respond to this, as do I.
Yes. So? But how can I... I'm sorry. Are you asking me how to do your job?
Oh, listen to this whore. Acting like she's some kind of femme fatale. Shut up and fight, she said. She's really pissing me off.
Yeah, I am not a fan of those types of people, but Rarity quickly steps in, and through her fashion as magic, she's able to get the pony what she wants through her magic fashion psychic powers.
Wow, you make it look so easy. Oh, darling, come now. You've conquered your shyness 1,000 times over. You can't let a few fashion ponies undo all that progress. Well, I guess not.
Well, it would depend on the writers, and it would depend on what episode it is, since, as I had mentioned in Fame and Misfortune, this is the type of complaint that many people have pointed out, and yet they are still doing it. I have not noticed it, but this is the episode where I'm like, okay, we kind of get the point. Can you just let her stay absurd or not? Because we are now in Season 8, and we're kind of tired of this now. But she actually tries to give Fluttershy advice, but it doesn't really go anywhere, and Rarity has to end up leaving.
You're not going to be here? In your workroom? Get out of my hectic hand. The fashion show is in catalog tomorrow, and I'll be up all night, even with the help of all of my assistants.
Convenient.
Well, not all my assistants.
Oh, so basically the raccoons that Rarity left are actually going to stay behind to help Fluttershy out.
Ever since you convinced me to let them live in the shop, these have been nothing but helpful. And I'm sure they'll help me let my inner strength shine through.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Oh, I wish I could stay.
So Fluttershy tries to talk with one of the fashion ponies, and at first she seems to go under pressure, but the raccoons are able to help her out as she basically gets into a different persona to fit the mold.
Severe, but most unapproachable. Acceptable business attire. Oh, does that sound like a shop pony to you?
Okay, the raccoons are the best part of this episode. And this is one of the few compliments I am going to give this episode. Because now we're going to get into the very rough start.
Had some stuffing issues today.
Yes, well, I still haven't had an answer on this thread count.
Here at Rarity Figures,
So-
our merchandise defies typical attempts to quantify.
So I will give Andrea Woodman this. She does have a nice, very sophisticated accent that she takes. And she's able to use this basically, and she's basically able to get the sales pony exactly what he wants.
Smokey Jr., I can't believe it worked. I suppose clothes really do make the pony after all.
Yeah. Oh, let's just get into it.
I shall take my pleasure, quite plain.
So while Rarity is on her way to Canterlot, Rarity is having a little bit of doubts about...
Sure, no. I simply can't leave Fluttershy to fend for herself with these fake hazelnuts.
Rarity?
Oh, darling, I'm afraid I can't stop. Potential emergency at the boutique.
Oh, well, whatever it is, I'm quite certain the pony you left in charge can handle it. Oh, she's simply divine.
Yeah, so Fluttershy is worrying herself over nothing, as Fluttershy actually does do a pretty good job. As well, she basically has a lot of sophisticated ponies, and
I
it's...
like my accessories bold and shiny, and I'm just not seeing anything nearly bold and shiny enough. I'm afraid bold and shiny won't work with your whole model. Perhaps pointy. Pointy? Yes, I must have pointy.
Again, I don't know fashion trends, so I don't know if this is either a good thing or a bad thing. Okay, so while it does feel a little bit out of place that Fluttershy is being this, and
Not every pony can pull off a found object, but you nearly get there. I need, like, a red carpet glitz and glamour gown.
oh dear God. Okay, so now let's get to the very, very, very cringy part where basically Fluttershy, God, I can't believe these words are going to come out of my mouth, comes across an influencer pony, and with the attire persona that she has on, she is unable to convince the pony to get what she wants, but the raccoons are able to make her... play it.
Okay, I've got, like, this high-key savage look for you. It's a totally live ensemble with the little, like, beneath the sparkle and make the whole squad go, whoa, that pony is slow. That is, like, exactly what I need.
Okay, so if you probably haven't seen from my reaction, basically now Fluttershy dons a second persona where, as I said, I cannot believe these words are coming out of my mouth. She becomes an influencer pony. And I am not the biggest thing on influencers. I am just not a huge fan of them, or rather more so, I don't know that many of them. But it's the influencers like that that make me remind myself back when I complained about the Chainsmokers selfie song back in 2014 and how obnoxious the girls in that music video sounded, where I just basically wanted to just, I don't know. So it does seem to work as she then comes across a new gossip. And essentially what ends up happening is that Fluttershy starts to get a bit out of control as she basically dons and can't get out of the different personas, and also making the raccoons very upset.
Whoa, that color is, like, almost too lit for you.
I think I can actually feel my soul dying inside me.
Yeah, I know I used that joke in the last review, but honestly, that's how I feel. And this is from that point on that this episode completely tanks. Because, from what I heard about this episode just seems to be kind of a rip-off of Simple Ways back in Season 4, where Fluttershy is taking on a persona that she's not. I don't know if that makes this episode better or worse than Simple Ways, considering I was not a fan of that episode back in 2016, and I forgot about it 7 years later. But this episode makes me think that this is actually worse than Simple Ways, because it's Fluttershy doing 3 different personas. One makes it feel like that I'm just basically aged by 20 years, and at this point I'm just like, please end my misery. Because you probably may have noticed that a lot of the stuff that happens in this episode, a lot of it I just skipped over because it is that painful to watch. And that is not the mark of a good episode, where you want to fast forward a lot of the cringe stuff just to get to the end.
The blackness of the past is a reflection of your soul.
Because now it gets to the point where Fluttershy actually comes off as really annoying. And thus, this ends up causing Fluttershy to piss off a lot of the customers. Gee, I wonder why.
Okay, nobody is well, nobody is safe, and nobody is mentally sound. Everyone in this movie is just fucking nuts.
Yeah, I think that describes this episode well. Okay, so essentially basically skipping over more of the mean-spirited stuff, the raccoons go and tell Spike everything what's going on.
Rarity is busy at an important fashion show, and Fluttershy is running her shop in Manhattan. But to do it, she's playing different shop pony characters that are all mean.
And it's amazing how Spike is able to understand that. I guess maybe he probably did learn a thing or two from Fluttershy.
How in the world did you figure that out, Spike?
I agree, that needs kind of an answer.
I'm not Dragon Charades champion for nothing. I can't imagine Fluttershy would ever be mean to her animal friends.
Yeah, so this is just kind of the point of what I mentioned up earlier of how some reviewers say that this episode is basically a rip-off of Simple Ways, because in that episode it was essentially Rarity being a country pony when she's not that, and then essentially this episode is basically Fluttershy not being the 3 things that I have basically pointed out, being basically a snobbish pony, an influencer, and a goth, and just seeing all those personas at once makes me feel like my soul is dying inside my intestines.
This sounds serious. Spike, tell everyone it's time to head back to Saddle Row.
So meanwhile, Fluttershy's still caught up in her character, thank God the main 6 basically come in to try to end this misery.
You are kidding. This is worse than we thought. She's being horrible to every pony. Are you sure that's even Fluttershy? Maybe it's just 3 really, really fast ponies that really, really look like her. Well, let's find out. Hey, Fluttershy, are you running the shop or performing in a one-pony show? If you don't mind, I can only improve the taste of one customer at a time. You have to wait your turn. Honest, these small-town ponies come to the big city and think they can behave any way they please.
Hey, can I shoot them now?
I'm really getting to that point. So essentially the main 6 and Spike see that Fluttershy is still being that mean person, but she's so caught up in these characters that she actually ends up shooing them away. That basically kind of gets to the point, as then they basically go to Canterlot to talk to Rarity and explain to her what exactly is happening.
Well, things might have seemed alright when you left, but they're definitely not alright now. She's acting worse than the worst Manhattanite I ever saw. She kicked us out of the shop. She called Smokey Jr. and Softhat rodents. Rodents? Why didn't you say that from the start? She obviously needs help. Come on!
So they all go back to the shop, where Rarity then tries to talk down Fluttershy, who...
What? You totally get how lame customers are? Watching them may fill me with a sweet sadness.
Oh dear God, shut up!
And you'll be pleased to hear that I'm taking care
So
of...
finally, Rarity ends up snapping at her.
I'm so glad you're here. Finally.
Never mind. It actually takes about a few minutes of padding. Oh, I might have skipped back to finally get her to get...
You want terminated too? Whatever. Now I know, right? I mean, actually, you're like totally terminated as well. Like, okay. Well, I'm glad that's over. I guess I owe every pony an apology. You think? I got so caught up trying to please all of your customers. What customers? Might have taken myself one characters a little too far.
Well, no shit, Sherlock. Oh, God damn it, I can't believe I'm saying that, Fluttershy. This is exactly what this episode has done to me. And I had to bypass a lot of the stupid stuff, and as I said, that's not the mark of the good episode when you have to fast forward through a lot of the really mean-spirited and stupid parts just to get to the end just so Fluttershy can learn the lesson that she's learned countless times about now.
You know I was only pretending, right? But Fluttershy, why did you think you needed to be some pony else to run the shop? I guess acting like the ponies of Saddle Row gave me the confidence to interact with them. Darling, I'd never trust some horrible Saddle Row pony to run my shop. That's why I wanted a friend to do it. Well, I'd definitely rather be myself anyway, even if I don't exactly have what it takes to be a shop pony. I wouldn't sell yourself short. Those sales pony characters all came from you. Yeah, I think you totally have what it takes.
Yeah, encouraging multiple personality disorder. That's beautiful. That really is beautiful.
Be a little too much. Indeed. You have all the inner strength you need, but I think we prefer it coming from our sweet, regular Fluttershy. Yeah. That's just giving me the inspiration I'm looking for.
Alright, so Rarity gets the inspiration and makes the dress for Fluttershy, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, this episode has just drained me so much that I could really care less at this point.
Oh, it's lovely, Rarity. I'm just sorry you had to leave the Canterlot Royal Fashion Show early. Oh, darling. Making the perfect dress is scant more satisfying than showing it off. Oh, yes. Ooh, striking dress, Rarity. I certainly hope you aren't trying to undercut the Royal Fashion Show by ducking out and debuting it here. What? No. Can't you consider the possibility that the Royal Fashion Show is trying to undercut Rarity by continuing on in Canterlot and not moving the whole affair here? Have you? No. Just as I thought. Oh, inner strength.
Okay. Alright, you know what, Alright, so that was fake it till you make it, and... Do I even need to say what everybody else has said about this episode? Yeah, this episode's crap. Honestly, the episode is a lot of times, on top of it just being just a rip-off of Simple Ways, however, it somehow made it worse because... Well, I did at first find Fluttershy's 3 personalities of the sales pony to be mostly interesting. The whole shtick got really old really quickly, and it was just surprising of just how mean-spirited it was. I mean, it was not putting your hoof down mean-spirited, but for a very late episode in the show's lifetime, it was just a really uncomfortable episode for me to watch. And as I said, a lot of the stuff that was either stupid or just downright awful, I had to fast forward through. And that is not the mark of a good episode when I want to fast forward a lot through the awful parts just so we could get through the moral. And even then, I didn't even bother to even mention the moral or what I think about it because of how awful this episode is. The moral just gets completely lost in translation, and that's not a good thing. Okay. Like, this episode just really just does nothing for me. On top of that, it doesn't do anything for Fluttershy's character development on top of everything else they've already done with her repeatedly. This episode's bad. It's It's really, really bad. I mean, there was like at least a couple of things that did give me a chuckle, and the raccoons were honestly the best part of the episode. Which is why I can't really say it's terrible, but again, it's really bad. I think, honestly, on the whole, I'd probably say Fake It Till You Make It is, I'll probably have to say a D. Like I said, it only escapes being worse just simply based off the fact that the raccoons were pretty much the best part of the episode, and there were a couple of things that did... There were a couple of jokes in there that did make me laugh, and there was a couple of interesting... And I guess the moral is good if you can try to get all the translation together and you can move past off all the awfulness, but it's still not a very good episode. It's really bad. So yeah, Fake It Till You Make It. A D. Alright, I just need to get that one out of the way because I just could not just sit through watching the entire episode before I could even do it because I wanted to just get it out of the way now. Alright, can we just get an episode that is not this horrible next time? Alright, let's just look into it. So, next time we will be looking at Granny's Gone Wild. Ew. See you guys next time. Bye.